Do you want to hit down on the golf ball? Your answer to that question is probably going to be yes, but how do you go about doing it? We're going to go through that in this training session today out on the golf course. Hitting down on the golf ball sometimes isn't always a good thing. We've got to make sure we do it in the right way. We're going to explain that, demonstrate it, and hopefully help you strike your irons really pure. Okay, so we hear it all the time, don't we? We've got to hit down on our irons. We've got to hit down on the golf ball. We've got to hit that ball turf strike, but hitting down is a key thing. We don't want to hit up on the golf ball. We do hear that all the time. But what I find what some of the golfers will do is they try and hit down in a different way. And what I mean by that is, you know, through that posture of the setup, and they may make that backswing there, and as they come down, you know, obviously making the downswing, the chest, the head, we lose a lot of height. We hit down on the golf ball in a bid to make sure we make contact with the ground. So typically, if you're a golfer that might hit the ball very clean, you might hit it on the way up, a lot of thin shots, maybe some top shots sneaking in there, you know you need to hit down, don't you? But then I think I see a lot of golfers go more this way to the golf ball, maybe sometimes lose it through the legs, that loss of height, and then they actually start burying the club in the ground and then develop fat shots. So the key thing here really is understanding your low point, isn't it? Thinking about it this way, you swing a golf club, we're going to create a circle with this golf club, aren't we, through that whole swing. Obviously, we finish that swing off, we create a circle. We have a low point in that circle, and ideally that is where we were going to be making a little bit of contact with the ground. Now we've got to judge where that lowest point of that circle, our low point, is in relation to the golf ball. So most golfers, as I say, you know, will make that downward movement, and what they're actually doing there is that circle, they're actually just dropping the whole circle, and the bottom of that circle is going too far under the ground. Okay, so basically what's going to happen there is you're going to hit some fat shots in there. So we need to control the depth of that circle, as in low under the ground to too far up and obviously above the ground. We've got to judge the low point, the depth of that circle, but at the same time we've also got to control it from right to left, as in behind the golf ball or to past the golf ball. Now we all know we need to make sure we get that ball first and then we make contact with the ground. So we have that slight descending blow, we're hitting the ball, especially with an iron, a little bit more on that way down, attack angle being a little bit more negative into that ball itself and the strike. We interact with the ground just after the golf ball. So it's more not so much hitting down, we just need to make sure we move that circle, not downwards, but more acrosswards, more towards your target, which then the lowest point of that circle is going to shift a little bit more than past your golf ball to hopefully get that perfect ball ground contact. Okay, so how do we actually go about doing that? Obviously, we're understanding what we're trying to do. How do we actually do it? So think a little bit about weight transfer now, and then more so on this downswing. Typically, a lot of golfers will get to the top of the golf swing, they try and get under the ball, they try and lift the ball, they try and get it elevated. If you're suffering with thins, tops, generally you're going to see a lot of the balls going very low to the ground, along the ground even in the worst case scenarios. So the urge there to try and lift the golf ball increases, but we know that is the bad thing to do. So we need to understand there now that we need to get that low point of that circle more across, get it past your golf ball. A few inches past would be sort of ideal in this sort of situation. I've got an 8-iron here, so a mid-iron, so we just need to get it working a little bit past that golf ball. So what I want you to think about a little bit is how you work your pressure. So I want you to feel your pressure between your left and your right. And then as you work up to the top of the backswing, you're probably just going to expect to see a little bit of pressure in your trail side at the top of the backswing. And then your first movement now, as you make the downswings, you need to move from that trail side across to your lead side earlier. Okay, now as we move, we are going to move that low point across. So ideally we'll get that ball before that turf. Okay, so I'm just going to hit a shot here, and this is a typical one that I would see a lot of golfers do. They tend to get on that trail side and don't really get off that trail side and don't really transfer that weight into that lead side. Okay, you can probably see how my body positioning there just hangs back a little bit. Yes, I've come off my trail foot, but I've still got a bit of pressure there. Haven't really transferred forward. And what I found there was a very clean clip, no interaction with the ground. The shot was okay, to be honest, but I could feel a lot of vibration. It was struck sort of very 1 or 2 grooves up at the bottom of the golf club. So I've lost a lot of ball spin, lost a lot of penetration. The shot was quite nice and straight, to be honest. but I just know it doesn't feel good. It's not crisp, it's losing a lot of energy. Okay, so let's try and move this low point. We're going to do this without a golf ball first, just to get you a perception of where you're going to make contact in relation to maybe where that ball would be. So if we just get into a setup position, obviously I'm on grass here, you can very much do this on a mat at driving range, very easy to sort of do. Maybe sometimes the mats have lines on there, so you might want to sort of set up to maybe with the club sat on the line as if to where the ball would be. And out on the grass here, I've just got my club set on the ground here, and I'm going to try and make contact now. I know where that club is, where that ball would be. I'm going to try and make contact now, obviously to the target side of that, so after where my club is actually positioned. So just going to get some feels going first. I can see where that club is, where the ball would be, so I'm going to try and make contact target side of that after that point. That was good. Okay, little disturbance of the grass. It was clearly past where I started with the club, so that's a good sign. I shifted and I could feel that through my weight shift. Let's have another go. Yeah, and again, bit of disturbance with the grass. Not a divot, but there's a disturbance there. Let's do that again. So I've got my point of where my club is on the ground. I'm just going to feel a little bit of side bend here. Yeah, that's perfect. So lit is not a big divot, but I've took some grass there, and again, massively past that golf ball. So I know my low point now, my circle has been moved towards the target fractionally. So let's introduce a ball. So set up position, I'm going to focus on shifting my weight early in that downswing to this lead side. Yeah, that's a super strike. Again, not a big divot, but I have taken a little slither there, but it is clearly past the golf ball. I felt so much better. The strike was more up the grooves on the club face there. Flight was a little bit lower, a bit more penetrating, a better feeling shot, and a much more distance to your shots as well. Okay, so going back to the start of the video, what we said, do we want to hit down on it? Yes, we do want to hit down on it, but how do we go about it is really, really important. Yes, we want that descending blow, but we don't need to sort of go down with the body or through the legs to get down to make that contact with that ground. It's all about controlling where, or being aware of where your weight is through a swing and shifting that circle more this way towards the target, which is going to move your low point further past the golf ball. Okay, if you've enjoyed the video, do hit that thumbs up, share the video around. There'll be another video just up here that you can go and click onto, and hopefully you can enjoy, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.